My name is Tyler, and I want to talk about something that's pretty exciting, and that is getting the cleanest image out of your video camera with the least amount of noise reduction, if any at all. And that is using the method of exposing to the right. And if you haven't heard of it, well, you're in for a trip. And if you have heard of it and you don't use it, you probably should. Now, exposing to the right is essentially exposing your image as much as possible without it blowing out or clipping. So say you're in false color, you don't want it to be in the yellow and the red. So simple methods of doing this, if you want to test it out, is record your video how you would expose it normally, and then record another clip and expose it 4 stops over. And how I like to do this is I will get 4 stops of ND. So you can do in between 2 and 4 stops, just depending on how much you want to push this and depending on your camera's dynamic range. But I like to push it 4 stops over. So what I do is I'll take 4 stops of ND, put them on my camera, and then expose how I want to, whether it's changing the aperture or the brightness of my lights. Typically I change the brightness of my lights and I'll expose it how I want to. And then I will take off those 4 stops of ND, record the video, and then I will take those 2 clips, I will put them in post, and I will compare both of them, right? The overexposed clip to the clip that is exposed correctly. And I will drop the overexposed clip by 4 stops, equivalent to the first clip, and compare the noise levels. Now, I did a little comparison with 2 mannequin heads so you can see the difference. And this is great because you don't have to use noise reduction later in post. And it means you can have more control over your shadows and highlights in post also, in case you somehow messed up in camera. This will work with any scenario. If you're doing something on a more of a low light scenario, I recommend changing your ISO to something that's more akin to low light scenarios, but you can use your native ISO if you want to. And that is saying, I'm shooting a low light night scene indoors. I have a lot of control. So maybe shooting it at 200 or 100 ISO. And then if you have powerful lights, brightening up your image as much as possible and bring it down and post super clean shadows. And this is great because no noise reduction means less time on your computer having it bogged down with noise reduction. Also meaning you don't have to use it, especially if you're using film grain, you're not having to layer noise on top of noise and using noise reduction and sharpening things. To get to the point, let's take a look at some footage and see the differences. Okay, so now that we have both of our images in the color grading tab, we can take a look at both of them. First image is how we want it to be exposed. The second image is the overexposed image that we're going to bring down. So the first image, we can look and notice that when we zoom in, there is a little bit of a noise, right? Press play, we can see that noise, right? Zoom back out. And then the next image is very bright. So I know that I exposed this image 4 stops over. Exactly. I put 4 ND on there. I exposed how I want to. I took the ND off. It's 4 stops too bright, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under my global HDR wheels, and I'm going to bring this down by 4 stops. Okay. 4 stops down. Okay, so now we look at both images. They look identical when it comes to the exposure of the skin. The only thing that is actually noticeably changing is the background. It's because there's a window with blinds. And whenever doing this, just know that if you have an outdoor window, it's going to become darker, right? So as much control as possible is needed for this. So when we look at the image that we brought down, we can see the noticeable difference of noise. This is the first image. This is the next image, right? Very, very clean. So we press play on this one. That's the noise. We press play on the one that we brought down. almost no noise. And it's very unnoticeable, especially when you zoom out, right? But here we can definitely see the noise. It's not crazy bad, but it would need noise reduction, especially if you're sending it to a client. But if you look at this one, you're not really going to need to do that with the image. And I find that to be amazing, right? We zoom back out. I'm going to look at my image. And the only thing I did on this was I did a color space transform from my camera to the DJI Run It 4D to DaVinci Wide Gamut. And I exposed it. And then we did a color space output transform to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. Okay, so there it is. That is the noticeable difference you can see right there. Noise, no noise. Impressive. Okay, so now we looked at the footage. What do you think? What you should do is you should try it out, and don't just take my word for it, and try it out on your next shoot, or just do some samples and see if it works for you. If you want to get a LUT that has a 2 or 3 stop drop LUT, meaning that you have a LUT in your camera that's dropped down 2 to 4 stops so you can actually see the image correctly and not being blown out, I recommend just Googling LUT calculator, and you can essentially upload your LUT from your camera or find it on the list on the website and basically create your own 2 to 4 stop drop LUT. So in case you're with clients and they don't want to see a blown out image and being like, why is it so overexposed? This is probably a good method, good practice. But yeah, I hope you have a great day. Hopefully you learned something. Like, subscribe, and I'll be making more videos soon.